Good day! Today, I will discuss the Unit 1. It is the basic concepts of applied motor learning and performance. But before I start my discussion, let me first introduce myself. I'm Chelsea L. Cadiz from BPED 2A, and I am the reporter for today's discussion. Now, let's define what is exercise, sports, and dance. Exercise, an activity requiring physical effort and carried out to sustain or improve health and fitness. Exercise is also known as a physical activity. In simple terms, exercise is any movement that works your body at greater intensity than your usual level of daily activity. Exercise raises your heart rate and works your muscles, and it's most commonly undertaken to achieve the aim of physical fitness. Sports, an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or other for entertainment. Sports pertains to any form of competitive physical activity or game that aims to use, maintain, or improve physical ability and skills while providing enjoyment to participants and, in some cases, entertainment to the spectators. Dance, to move rhythmically to music, typically following a set sequence of steps. Dance is a performing art form consisting of sequences of movement, either improvised or purposefully selected. This movement has a static and often symbolic value. Dance can be categorized and described by its choreography, by its repertoire of movements, or by its historical period or place of origin. What is motor learning? Motor. In physical education and studies of the body, this refers to movement. So when we say motor, it is the movement of our body. Learning. The acquisition of knowledge or skills through study, experience, or being taught. While learning is acquiring of information by studying through reality or experience, as well as it can be obtained through other people. Motor learning refers to the brain's ability to develop control over the body's musculoskeletal system to produce coordinated and timed movements in response to the demands of the surrounding environment. So, the change in person's capacity to do a task that should be inferred from relatively permanent improvement in performance as a result of practice or experience is known as motor learning. The 3 stages of motor learning. There are 3 stages in which motor learning occurs. Cognitive stage. During this initial stage of motor learning, the goal is to develop an overall understanding of the skill. The learner must determine what the objective of the skill is and begin to process environmental factors that will affect their ability to produce that skill. The teacher must do their best to provide an optimal environment for learning, which may mean removing a large distractors. During this stage, the learner mostly relies on visual input and trial and error to guide learning. So, for example, before your child masters walking, they will most likely look a bit awkward and will definitely stumble a few times. The reality is that the process of learning how to walk begins way before your child actually takes their first assisted or independent step, as they have been visually observing others around them, walking and beginning to understand the purpose. So, while they look clumsy during the stage of learning, they are only just beginning to transition from understanding the skill to executing it. So next, we have the associative stage. During this stage, the learner begins to demonstrate a more refined movement through practice. Now that the learner has or had some practice and has identified the various stimuli that may occur, they can focus on how to do, moving from what to do in the first stage. Here, visual cues became less important and proprioceptive cues became very important. Proprioceptive cues refer to the learners focusing more on how their body is moving in space and what input is being felt from their joints and muscle. The more practice, the more proprioceptive input the learner receives to aid learning. Therefore, the more practice, the better. So let's continue with walking. During the initial clumsy stage of your child may demonstrate small, choppy steps, wide base of support, arms up high in guarded position, and little to no trunk rotation. In this stage, you may see your child taking longer, more controlled steps, narrowing their base of support and allowing their arms to relax at their sides. These behaviors indicate that your child has moved past the initial stage of learning and has progressed to more refined movement. So the last stage is the autonomous stage. During this final stage of learning, the motor skill becomes mostly automatic. Progression to this level of learning allows the learner to perform the skill in any environment with very little cognitive involvement compared to the first stage. Now, let's go back to our example. Your child will now be able to walk in a predictable environment such as your home or in an predictable environment such as crowded birthday party at the park on grass without difficulty. The characteristics of motor learning. There are 5 characteristics of motor learning. Motor learning is an internal process that cannot be observed from an external perspective. This means that how much an athlete has learned is an unknown factor from an outsider's perspective because motor learning takes place inside the learner's brain and the muscular movement are only a reflection of brain activities. Observing motor performance provides only an indirect assessment of the learning progress of a learner. Next is motor learning is to form motor habits. The goal of motor learning is to form the designated motor behavioral habits through proper training. Motor learning is not a value that can be negative. So according to Wang and Yang 2012, motor learning is not a value free and it can be negative to form a bad habit that is extremely hard to be changed once it is formed. Next is motor learning is relatively permanent. Once a motor skill is learned, it becomes relatively permanent and will not be easily forgotten. For example, once an individual has learned how to ride a bike, he or she will never forget how to do it. And lastly, motor learning is a set of processes. Motor learning is a set of processes for the purpose of reaching specific learning objectives. Obviously, different types of learning will produce different results, and sports scientists continuously search for the best motor learning processes for the particular motor skills based on individual differences. Concepts of applied motor learning and performance. Motor learning is a subdiscipline of motor behavior that examines how people acquire motor skills. Motor learning is relatively permanent change in ability to execute a motor skill as a result of practice or experience. This is in contrast to performance, the act of executing a motor skill that results in a temporary, non-permanent change. One way to conceptualize this difference is to consider the change of the state in an egg. So, when an egg is boiled, there is a permanent change in the state of that egg. The egg has irreversibly transformed into a solid. To conceptualize performance, we could make an analogy to water. When temperature drops below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, water solidifies to ice. This is not a permanent change because water will convert back to its original form if temperature increases again to above 32 degrees Fahrenheit. The permanent change that results from boiling an egg is analogous to the permanent change in the ability to perform a motor skill or motor learning. The change in the water resulting from the temperature increases or decreases, on the other hand, is analogous to the performance changes because of its lack of permanency. So there are 4 concepts of motor learning. First is learning is a process of acquiring the capacity for skilled action. Second, learning result from the experience or practice. And third, learning cannot be measured or observed directly. It is inferred from behavior. And lastly, learning produces relatively permanent changes in behavior. Short-term change is not learning. Motor performance versus motor learning. Motor performance is the temporary change in motor behavior seen during a practice session, while motor learning is relatively permanent change in motor behaviors that are measured after a retention period and only result from practice. So we should always remember that motor performance is just temporary, while motor learning is permanent. Finally, our last topic for today's discussion is about the performance drills on exercise, sports, and dance. Exercise. Lunges. First, start by standing with your feet shoulder width apart and arms down at your side. Second, take a step forward with your right leg and bend your right knee as you do so, stopping when your thigh is parallel to the ground. Third, ensure that your right knee doesn't extend past your right foot. Fourth, push up off your right foot and return to the starting position. Repeat with your left leg. This is 1 rep. And fifth, complete 3 sets of 10 reps. Challenging your balance is an essential part of a well-rounded exercise routine. Lunges do just that, promoting functional movement while also increasing strength in your legs and glutes. Push-ups. First, start in a plank position. Your core should be tight, shoulders pulled down and back, and your neck neutral. Second, bend your elbows, begin to lower your body down to the floor. When your chest grazes it, extend your elbows and return to the start. Focus on keeping your elbows close to your body during the movement. Third, complete 3 sets of many reps as possible. Push-ups are one of the most basic yet effective body weight moves you can perform because of the number of muscles that are recruited to perform them. Squats. First, start by standing straight with your feet slightly wider than the shoulder width apart and your arms at your side. Second, brace your core and keeping your chest and chin up, push your hips back and bend your knees as if you are going to sit in a chair. Third, ensuring your knees don't bow inward or outward, drop down until your thighs are parallel to the ground. Bringing your arms out in front of you is comfortable position. Pause for 1 second, then extend your legs and return to the starting position. And fourth, complete 3 sets of 20 reps. Squats increase lower body and core strength, as well as flexibility in your lower back and hips because they engage some of the largest muscles in the body. They also pack a major punch in terms of calories burned. Planks. First, begin in a push-up position with your hand and toes firmly planted on the ground, your back straight and your core tight. Second, your chin slightly tucked and your gaze just in front of your hand. Third, take deep, controlled breaths while maintaining tension throughout your entire body so your abs, shoulder, triceps, glutes, and quads are all engaged. Fourth, complete 2 to 3 sets of 30-second holds to start. Planks are an effective way to target both your abdominal muscles and your whole body. Planking stabilizes your core without straining your back the way sit-ups or crunches might. Sports. Lateral plyometric jumps. Lateral plyometric jumps help build explosive power, balance, and coordination by using our natural body weight. This advanced agility training exercise is essential for any athletic position that requires lateral coordination and power. For best results, be sure to perform this drill after a thorough warm-up. Another great option is the lateral single leg hop. Forward running high knee drills, requiring only a basic speed, later, and your body. This agility training exercise is designed to improve foot coordination and speed for all field of sport athletes. Simply run with high knees forward through the ladder, landing in every ladder space. For this simple drill, proper form is key. Be sure to land on the balls of your feet and drive forward with your arms. You can also incorporate the Vertimax resistance to add to the strength and power. Lateral running side-to-side drills. Lateral running drills greatly improve both knee and ankle stability, making them ideal for court sports. For proper form, maintain a low center of gravity and quickly step side by side through the ladder. Be sure to step both feet one at a time, inside each rung of the ladder. While driving your arms forward, always aim to land on the balls of your feet. Repeat from right to left and then again left to right. Proper form is the key to your success. Dance. Skaters. This will strengthen your glutes and improve stability. Skaters will help with balance and posture, making your movements look smooth and effortless. Cardio. Build up your stamina to be able to dance all night. Burpees. Targeted areas: arms, chest, quads, glutes, hamstrings, and core. This high-intensity exercise is a great warm-up because it works out your entire body. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something from my discussion. And if you have any questions from my discussion, don't hesitate to message me on my social media accounts. Thank you!